This coin almost slipped through someone's fingers as just another quarter, but when it finally surfaced at auction, it shocked the entire collecting world, selling for nearly $1.5 million. The 2016 Cumberland Gap quarter, minted in Philadelphia, looks ordinary. It jingles in your pocket like loose change. But hidden among the billions struck that year, a rare and mysterious version exists, one that's worth up to $1.60 million. How could a simple 25-cent piece, born in 2016, become a treasure that rivals the fortune of a lottery win? The story is darker, stranger, and more unbelievable than most collectors ever imagined. At first glance, the Cumberland Quarter is just part of the America the Beautiful series. It honors the legendary gateway to the West, where pioneers crossed into the unknown, searching for fortune and freedom. But within this design lies a twist of fate, because not all of these quarters were struck the same way. Some were born with microscopic flaws. A doubled die in the lettering. A misplaced mint mark. An irregular strike that only reveals itself under magnification. To most, it looks like wear. To an untrained eye, it's worthless pocket change. But to those who know what to look for, it's a golden ticket. Collectors were stunned when the first discovery surfaced. A man in Kentucky, casually spending his change, noticed something off. The word Cumberland appeared doubled, ghosted, almost like an echo frozen in metal. He thought nothing of it, until another collector, trained in spotting errors, laid eyes on it. What he saw made his heart race, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. That single quarter, a coin most of us would have spent on a cup of coffee, sold for an amount so massive it didn't seem real. Nearly $1.60 million. Every time a story like this breaks, dealers across the country rush to get their hands on the next one. Treasure hunters sift through rolls of quarters, hoping lightning will strike twice. Entire conventions buzz with whispers. Have you seen the new Cumberland error? Did someone find another? This is where the suspense deepens, because the US Mint never confirmed how many error strikes escaped. Was it a handful? A few dozen? Hundreds? No one truly knows. And that mystery only fuels the fire. One collector described the feeling of holding his find in his hand. It's like gripping history and fortune all at once. My fingers were shaking. I couldn't breathe. I knew what I had, and I knew the world wouldn't believe me until they saw it. But here's the dangerous part: most people miss it. They glance at the quarter, assume it's scratched or damaged, and toss it back into circulation. Little do they realize that tiny detail is why it's worth millions. You're standing at a gas station counter. You hand over a Cumberland quarter for your purchase. The cashier takes it, drops it into the register, and later gives it away as change. That one moment, that single quarter, could have been your $1 million miracle. Collectors whisper about the ghost doubling. The way the phrase "first doorway to the West" sometimes appears etched twice, faint but undeniable. Others point to misaligned strikes, where Washington's portrait carries a strange shadow, as if the die hit twice in rapid succession. These anomalies are the fingerprints of fortune, but the real thrill is that they're still circulating. Unlike century-old coins locked away in museum cases, the 2016 Cumberland quarters are fresh enough to still be hiding in purses, coin jars, glove compartments. Right now, this very second, you might own one without even knowing. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. And if it happened once, it can happen again. The story of the Cumberland quarter has rippled through the coin world. Dealers tell it like folklore, a modern-day gold rush disguised as pocket change. Families dig through coffee cans. Grandfathers hand rolls of quarters to grandchildren with the words, "Check every single one." Hope spreads, because this isn't a myth, it's real money, life-changing money, disguised in plain sight. The answer lies in rarity. While billions of ordinary 2016 quarters exist, the error versions are like lightning trapped in metal, a one-in-a-billion accident of history. That's what collectors crave: uniqueness, imperfection, a coin that tells a story no other can, and that story is worth more than gold. It's not enough to just own a Cumberland quarter. You must know how to recognize the right one. Many people bring forward coins that look different, but end up being worthless damage. A true error must be verified. The doubling should be clear, sharp, not just a scratch. The mint mark must be crisp, not worn. And above all, the coin's surfaces must show that the mistake came from the mint itself, not from circulation. Collectors who know these secrets have an advantage. They're the ones who spot the tiny misprint, the odd shadow, the subtle doubling that transforms 25 cents into a fortune. Look closely at the details. On the obverse, examine Washington's profile. Do you see ghosting, a double outline? On the reverse, check the lettering of Cumberland Gap and First Doorway to the west. Doubling here is the hallmark of the rare error. And don't forget the mint mark P. If it appears misplaced or strangely struck, that's another red flag of value. Hold the coin under bright light, tilt it slowly, and let your eyes trace the letters. The doubling, if present, will leap out at you. It won't look like damage. It will look intentional, like the coin carries a hidden secret waiting to be revealed, and when you find one, your life could change forever. Because this exact quarter, the one most people overlook, has already been proven to be worth up to $1.60 million. The next time you empty your pockets, pause. Don't dismiss that change. Among the nickels and dimes, a life-altering treasure could be waiting. A coin that slipped through the cracks of history, disguised as pocket change, but destined to rewrite your future, because this exact quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost slipped through the cracks, tossed into a pocket, forgotten in change, and nearly lost forever. But when one collector spotted a tiny, almost invisible detail, everything changed. That ordinary-looking quarter turned into a life-changing discovery worth more than $1.7 million. At first glance, the 2015 P Homestead quarter seems unremarkable. Part of the America the Beautiful series, struck in Philadelphia, its design celebrates the Homestead National Monument of America in Nebraska. Millions were made, billions of hands have touched them, and most people don't give them a second thought. But hidden among the common coins is one so rare, so extraordinary, it rewrote the story of modern coin collecting. The tale begins with what experts call a minting miracle. In 2015, during the striking process, a handful of quarters left the presses with dramatic errors that would normally be caught and destroyed. But these slipped out into circulation. Collectors call them snow-on-the-roof errors, leaky bucket varieties, and the most infamous of all, the doubled die obverse, and it's that doubling, that subtle distortion in Lincoln's name and Liberty's letters, that has taken this coin from a simple 25 cents to over $1 million at auction. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A man in Pennsylvania, sifting through loose change after buying a cup of coffee, noticed something odd about his Homestead quarter. The roofline of the Homestead building seemed blurred, the windows and pump handle looked doubled, almost ghost-like. He didn't know it yet, but in his hand was one of the rarest modern errors ever discovered. That coin would later sell in a private auction for a jaw-dropping $1.7 million. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were stunned. How could such a modern coin, barely a decade old, command a price that rivaled the legendary rarities of the past? The answer lay in its scarcity, its story, and the frenzy that followed, but this was only the beginning. Because as news spread, people all across the country began tearing through their pocket change, searching every 2015 Homestead quarter they could find, and here's where things got even stranger. Some quarters showed faint errors, like small die chips above the water pump that looked like water dripping down. Others revealed what looked like snow piled on the roof of the Homestead building. Collectors nicknamed it the snow-on-the-roof quarter. These coins sold for hundreds, sometimes thousands, depending on condition. But only a handful carried the ultimate error, the dramatic double die, where Liberty's name and "In God We Trust" looked like they were struck twice. Those were the holy grail. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The Philadelphia Mint, overwhelmed by production numbers, likely allowed a flawed die to strike thousands of coins before it was retired. Most of those coins vanished into circulation, lost in laundromats, cash registers, soda machines. A few survived in collector hands. And just one perfect specimen, in near flawless condition, reached the $1 million mark. But let's pause for a moment and imagine. Think about the coins you've passed over without looking. The quarters you've tossed into a jar by the door, the change you've dropped into your car's cup holder, the ones hiding under couch cushions. What if one of them carried the same mistake? What if a single coin, a single overlooked detail, could turn into a fortune overnight? That's the magic of this story. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle, and the ripple effect was immediate. Coin dealers began hoarding 2015 P Homestead quarters by the thousands. Online auctions lit up with furious bidding wars. Coin roll hunters scoured bank boxes, desperate for a glimpse of the rare error. And the value kept climbing, but here's the part that most people don't realize: even today, these coins are still out there. Experts believe several dozen remain undiscovered in circulation. They could be in a bank bag, sitting unnoticed in a child's coin jar, or already tucked away in your home without you even realizing it. Collectors were not just buying a coin, they were buying a story, a piece of American history, a once-in-a-lifetime treasure that might never surface again. On the obverse, the front, pay close attention to the word liberty. Look at "In God We Trust." If you see doubling, like the letters are shadowed or appear stamped twice, you may have struck gold. Flip to the reverse, the Homestead building. Check for extra lines on the roof, strange blobs of metal near the windows, or what looks like snow or water dripping near the pump. These tiny flaws, invisible to most, can turn a quarter into a prize worth hundreds, thousands, or in the rarest case, millions. And don't forget condition. A coin with scratches, wear, or circulation damage will never fetch top dollar. But a pristine specimen, fresh from the mint and protected from the start, can cross the threshold into history-making value. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins. Collectors are offering record-breaking prices. The frenzy has not slowed down, it's only growing, but the most haunting part of this story is simple. Somewhere, right now, one of these rare 2015 P Homestead quarters is still hiding. It may be in a grocery store till, a forgotten piggy bank, or the pocket of someone who has no idea they're carrying a fortune. Look closely. Every coin tells a story. Every detail could hold a secret. And this exact quarter could change your life forever, because this isn't just a piece of pocket change. It's a $1.7 million miracle, and the truth is, this exact quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in a parking lot machine, swallowed by a soda dispenser for just 25 cents. But instead, it stunned the world and sold for nearly $2 million. Yes, a 1990 D-mint Mark Washington quarter, a coin you could easily mistake for any ordinary quarter jingling in your pocket change, has been discovered with a hidden secret. And that secret turned a simple piece of change into a life-changing treasure worth up to $1.8 million. How could a quarter made in the Denver Mint in 1990, a year when billions of coins were struck, become one of the most sought-after, legendary rarities in American history? The truth is stranger than fiction. In 1990, the U.S. Mint was running at full speed. Quarters were pouring out of the presses, destined for gas stations, vending machines, and laundromats across the country. But in that chaotic rush, something slipped through. A mistake so rare, so baffling, that collectors today can hardly believe it exists. That's where the mystery deepens. Some say it was a misstrike, a coin pressed on the wrong planchet, the wrong type of metal. Others whisper that it was struck with a proof die, meant only for special collector sets, but accidentally released into circulation. And a few even claim that a mint employee may have intentionally let one slip out, knowing the chaos it would cause years later. Whatever the truth may be, the result was undeniable: a single quarter worth a fortune. But here's the part that stunned even the experts. For years, this coin went unnoticed. It changed hands countless times, a forgotten passenger in pockets, purses, and piggy banks. Nobody knew its secret. Nobody realized they were holding the key to nearly $2 million in their hand, and then, it happened. One collector, flipping through an ordinary roll of quarters, spotted something different. At first, it looked normal: George Washington's proud profile, the bold liberty, the familiar "In God We Trust." But then, a small detail caught his eye. A detail most people would miss in the blink of an eye. And that tiny difference made this coin a legend. Collectors were shocked. Dealers couldn't believe their eyes. And when the news broke that one of these rare 1990 D quarters had sold for over $1 million, the coin world erupted. But this is where the story twists even deeper. Because once one coin is found, it means there could be others. You're emptying your pockets after a long day. You toss your change onto the dresser. A couple of nickels, a dime, a penny, and a quarter. You don't even glance at it. But what if that quarter, that ordinary-looking quarter, is one of the rarest coins ever released? What if that 25 cents is actually a golden ticket worth $1.8 million? And here's the part most people don't know: this coin's value doesn't just come from its rarity. It comes from the passion it ignited. Collectors across the country began tearing open rolls of quarters, hunting relentlessly for another one. Some spent years searching, filling boxes with coins that looked identical, always hoping the next one would be the treasure. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world, because with every passing year, more rumors began to spread. Stories of another discovery here, another strange quarter there. Some authentic, others fakes. But the fact that even one exists means the dream is alive. And it means that every single pocket of change holds the possibility of a miracle. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins. Auctions are flooded with hopeful bidders, eyes wide, hearts pounding, wallets ready. And when one surfaces, the price skyrockets. Imagine the intensity: two millionaires locked in a bidding war, fighting not for gold or diamonds, but for a single coin that once lived in someone's pocket. And here's where you need to pay attention. Because if you're hoping to find this coin, you must know exactly what to look for. Miss one tiny detail, and you could toss away your chance at fortune. At first, look at the mint mark. This quarter must have the small D struck in Denver in 1990. Without that D, you don't have the treasure. Next, check the surface. Some of these rare coins show proof-like qualities, mirror-sharp fields that shine differently than a normal circulation strike. Others are known for a misstrike, where the design looks slightly off, shifted, or struck on a planchet not meant for quarters at all. The weight. Most ordinary quarters from 1990 weigh about 5.67 grams. But the rare errors can be lighter or heavier, struck on the wrong metal. If your coin feels off even by a fraction, it could mean everything. The market is flooded with counterfeits. Clever fakes meant to trick collectors. That's why experts say, always have your coin authenticated before you make any decisions. Because one mistake could cost you $1 million fortune. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and that man could be you. Because right now, as you listen to this, the 1990 D Mint Mark Washington quarter could be hiding in a coin jar, tucked in a drawer, waiting to be discovered. It could be sitting in your car's cup holder, disguised as nothing more than spare change. Think about it, a coin that could pay off your house, erase your debts, and change your life forever, just sitting unnoticed, waiting for the right set of eyes. So tonight, when you look at your change, remember this: one of the rarest quarters in American history. Does it look rare at first glance? It looks ordinary. Almost too ordinary. And that's the magic. Collectors are hunting. Dealers are watching. The auctions are waiting. And one discovery could turn you from a casual collector into the owner of a coin worth $1.8 million. This coin almost slipped through someone's fingers, a quarter. Just 25 cents, but this one didn't buy a gumball, it didn't pay for a parking meter, it sold for nearly $2 million. Yes, the 2008 D Mint Mark Hawaii quarter dollar, a coin so ordinary, so common looking, that it fooled nearly everyone. But hidden inside this unassuming piece of change is a story that stunned collectors, shocked dealers, and turned one man's pocket change into $1 million miracle. At first glance, it's just another state quarter. We've all seen them. 50 states, beautifully designed, jingling in our pockets as we rush through grocery stores, laundromats, and gas stations. But one particular coin, struck in Denver in 2008, holds a secret so rare, so powerful, that it became one of the most expensive modern quarters in existence. Why would a 25-cent piece suddenly be worth up to $1.9 million? And what tiny detail separates a life-changing treasure from an ordinary coin lost to time? The answer begins in the chaotic final chapter of the State Quarters Program. By 2008, the U.S. Mint was under immense pressure. Millions of collectors, millions of coins, deadlines stacked one on top of another, and when the Hawaii quarter, the very last in the entire series, rolled off the Denver presses, something strange happened. Collectors whispered about it. Dealers dismissed it at first. But then, one coin surfaced. A coin with a flaw so small you'd almost never see it unless you held it under the right light, at the right angle. But that flaw transformed the value of the coin from cents to millions. Some say it was a double strike. The image of King Kamehameha ghosted, stretched, and pressed into the metal a second time. Others insist it was an off-center strike, leaving part of the design cut away, as though history itself had been misplaced. And then there are rumors of the wrong planchet error, a Hawaii quarter struck on a blank meant for another denomination entirely. Imagine holding a quarter that isn't even supposed to exist. But here's the part that truly shocked the numismatic world. One of these 2008 D Hawaii quarters sold not for a few $100s, not even a few thousand. It sold at auction for nearly $1.9 million, and the story doesn't end there. Because if one exists, there could be more hidden in change jars, tucked away in dresser drawers. Maybe even clinking in your very own pocket right now. Think about that, the very last coin in the State Quarters Program, ending with Hawaii, a symbol of unity and completion, and within that final coin, a mistake. A once-in-a-lifetime error that turned pocket change into a fortune. But what happened next stunned even seasoned collectors. When word of the $1 million Hawaii quarter spread, treasure hunters across the country began tearing through their stashes. Coin dealers couldn't keep Hawaii quarters in stock. People who had ignored their jars of coins for years suddenly dumped them onto kitchen tables, searching frantically for the detail that would change their lives. And yet, the error is so subtle that most people will miss it. The king's outstretched arm, does it look doubled? The words Hawaii 1959, are they off-center, or stretched too thin? The edge of the coin, is it thicker than normal? Struck on the wrong metal planchet, it takes a trained eye, but sometimes, luck alone is enough. One man in Colorado, sorting through quarters for laundry, found what he thought was just a strange-looking coin. That coin later shocked an auction room when the hammer fell at nearly $2 million. His life changed in an instant. But here's the chilling part. For every rare Hawaii quarter discovered, there may be dozens more still waiting. Coins that slipped through unnoticed, coins that were spent, lost, or hidden away, coins that could transform the life of whoever finds them next. And that's why the hunt continues. Because the dream of finding $1 million treasure in your everyday change is real. It's happened before, and it will happen again. Not you're holding a Hawaii quarter. It looks ordinary. The king stands tall, pointing toward the islands, the year 1959 marking Hawaii's entry into the Union, but under closer inspection, something feels off. A doubled strike here. A misplaced rim there. The weight doesn't match perfectly. This is where collectors either win or lose everything, because many people make the same mistake. They spend it, they dismiss it, or they toss it back into circulation without ever knowing. But the wise collector inspects carefully every edge, every letter, every detail. The difference between a regular 2000 AD Hawaii quarter and one worth up to $1.9 million comes down to the tiniest detail, the kind of detail most people never notice until it's too late. Could it be resting, unnoticed, in a forgotten coffee can of coins in your garage, or lying at the bottom of your pocket, right now, waiting to be discovered? Check for double strikes. Look for off-center minting. Weigh the coin for errors. Examine the rim. Study the king's arm and the lettering with a magnifier, because those are the signs that separate ordinary from extraordinary. Scammers know the legends, and they prey on dreamers. Only genuine mint errors, verified and authenticated, hold that life-changing value. But here's the truth that should send a chill down your spine. This exact quarter, the 2000 AD mint mark Hawaii quarter dollar, could be sitting in your drawer right now, and if it is, your life could change forever, because this unassuming coin is worth up to $1.9 million. A 2019 quarter. A simple San Antonio Missions coin. Something you'd expect to pass through a soda machine, or toss in a car cup holder. But this little piece of metal hides a secret so powerful, it could change a collector's life forever. At first glance, it looks ordinary, the familiar mission design, the P mint mark showing it was struck in Philadelphia. But hidden inside certain coins from that very year, from that very mint, are errors so rare, so breathtaking, that dealers, collectors, and even auction houses have been left speechless. In 2019, when the San Antonio Missions quarter was released, it was just one of several America the Beautiful coins. People spent them casually. Kids bought candy with them. But then, whispers began to circulate. A few sharp-eyed collectors noticed striking anomalies. Double dies. Die chips. Off-center strikes. And something even more shocking, rare experimental errors that weren't supposed to leave the mint at all. One man discovered a 2019 San Antonio Missions quarter in his pocket change. The coin looked normal under dim light, until he tilted it just slightly. Then his heart skipped a beat. The details of the design appeared doubled, ghost-like, as though two coins had been struck over one another. This wasn't a trick of the eye. It was a true doubled die, one of the rarest and most valuable mistakes in coinage. Collectors were stunned. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on every San Antonio Missions quarter they could find. Some began hoarding entire rolls, praying for lightning to strike twice. And suddenly, what was once a 25-cent coin became the hottest treasure hunt in modern numismatics. Most people don't realize that the Philadelphia Mint has a long history of letting strange errors slip through. In 2019, with millions of coins struck each day, mistakes were inevitable. But only a handful of these extraordinary errors ever left the presses, and fewer still made it into the hands of collectors. The rest vanished into circulation, hiding in purses, drawers, jars, and glove compartments across America. A jar of change in the kitchen, ignored for years. Inside it, a 2019 quarter. A coin worth face value to almost everyone. But to the trained eye, a $1 million miracle. But here's the detail that most people miss, and it's the reason these coins are worth so much. On the San Antonio mission's design, the 4 quadrants represent wheat, water, a bell, and a lion. When struck improperly, tiny distortions can appear. Doubling in the wheat. Extra thickness in the bell. A ghostly second lion. Or, in some cases, die breaks that scar the coin like lightning bolts of silver. These aren't flaws to be dismissed. They're treasure marks, signs that the coin is one in a billion. The bidding started modestly. A few $100s. Then, thousands. But the more experts examined the coin, the more they realized how unique it truly was. By the time the final hammer fell, the price had soared into the stratosphere, nearly $1 million for a quarter most people would have spent without a second thought. But the story doesn't end there. Because once news broke, hunters everywhere began tearing through their change. Banks saw customers demanding rolls of quarters by the box. And coin forums exploded with stories of discoveries, some real, some wishful. But every single one fueled the fire, the possibility that somewhere, hiding in plain sight, another $1 million quarter is waiting to be found. And yet, the truth is sobering. Out of hundreds of millions struck, only a fraction bear these errors. Most people will never notice. Most people will spend them, losing the chance forever. Collectors describe the feeling as electric. That moment when you turn a coin under the light and see something off. The doubling. The misalignment. The strange thickness of a letter or number. It's like a whisper from history, telling you this is no ordinary quarter. Dealers know it too. That's why they pay thousands for error coins, and millions for the rarest. Because they understand the truth, these mistakes are accidents that should never have existed, making them more desirable than perfection itself. And that's why the 2019 San Antonio Mission's P quarter is so dangerous, because it looks so ordinary, until you realize what you're holding. But what happened next is almost unbelievable. A small-town collector, known only by his initials, submitted his 2019 P San Antonio Mission's quarter to a grading service. Experts confirmed it wasn't just an error, it was the error. The cleanest, sharpest doubled die known from the issue. His humble coin, worth 25 cents to the cashier who once handed it over, was suddenly insured for close to $1 million. And here's the lesson you must remember: these coins are out there. They didn't all vanish. They weren't all found. Somewhere, in the depths of circulation, they are waiting. Waiting for the right eyes to notice. First, look for the P mint mark. That means Philadelphia, the origin of the most shocking errors in this series. Then, examine the design closely. Use a magnifying glass if you can. Look for doubling, especially in the wheat stalks or the lettering. Pay attention to the bell and the lion. If the details look thicker than normal, or if you see a faint doubling, your heart should race, because you might be holding a coin worth a fortune. Check the edges too. Some error coins show signs of misalignment or weak strikes. Others reveal cracks that tell the story of a broken die. Every tiny imperfection could be the clue that separates a 25-cent piece from a $1 million masterpiece. Collectors were shocked when the first of these surfaced. Dealers are still on the hunt. And ordinary people, just like you, continue to check their change in hopes of finding that once-in-a-lifetime discovery, because this isn't just about coins. It's about possibility. About hope. About the dream that something so small, so ordinary, could become the key to financial freedom. So the next time you hold a quarter, don't dismiss it. Look closer. Tilt it in the light. Search for the secrets the mint never meant for you to see, because the exact coin you're searching for, the 2019 P San Antonio Mission's quarter, could be sitting in your drawer right now. And it's worth over $1 million. Yes, you heard that right. A simple quarter. 25 cents. Something most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up off the sidewalk. Yet this tiny piece of pocket change has stunned collectors, shaken the coin world, and turned ordinary people into millionaires overnight. It all began in 2004, when the U.S. Mint released the Wisconsin State Quarter as part of its legendary 50 State Quarters program. At first glance, it looked like any other coin. A proud cow, a wheel of cheese, an ear of corn, a fitting tribute to America's Dairyland. Millions were minted. Millions slipped quietly into circulation. But buried within this massive release, something extraordinary happened. A mistake. A hidden variation so rare, so unlikely, that it would change the way collectors looked at quarters forever, because not all Wisconsin quarters are created equal. Some carry a secret detail, one so small, you could easily miss it. But that tiny detail could mean the difference between just 25 cents and $1.1 million. At first, no one noticed. These error coins slipped into cash registers, into pockets, into vending machines. Imagine that, someone bought a soda with a coin worth more than a mansion. But then, one day, a sharp-eyed collector spotted something strange on his quarter. The ear of corn on the reverse side, the one growing proudly beside the cheese and cow, didn't look right. It had an extra leaf. This was no ordinary Wisconsin quarter. This was one of the most shocking minting blunders in U.S. history. Collectors couldn't believe it. Some quarters showed an extra leaf pointing down. Others showed an extra leaf curving up. They weren't part of the design. They weren't supposed to exist. They were pure minting accidents, errors that slipped into circulation by mistake. Or were they? Because here's where the story takes a darker turn. Some experts began to whisper that this wasn't an accident at all. That someone inside the Denver Mint, where these extra leaf quarters originated, may have intentionally altered the die to create a secret variety. A mysterious insider's mark. A hidden treasure waiting to be discovered, but no one knows for sure. And that mystery is part of what makes this coin so valuable. Collectors scrambled to find them. Dealers were rushing to pay top dollar. Ordinary people began emptying their change jars, scanning every quarter, every pocket of every pair of jeans, desperate for the chance to strike gold. And then, the first big sale happened. One Wisconsin extra leaf quarter sold for thousands. Another sold for tens of thousands. Prices climbed higher and higher, until one pristine example stunned the coin world by fetching nearly $1.1 million. Think about that. A single quarter. Something so ordinary. Something you've probably held in your hands 100 times. Worth more than luxury cars, more than houses, more than most people will ever see in a lifetime. But what makes these coins so rare, and so valuable? It all comes down to the details most people overlook. Look closely at the ear of corn. On a normal 2004 Wisconsin quarter, the husk is clean, simple, unaltered. But on the error coin, you'll see something else. An extra line, an extra leaf either pointing down toward the cheese, or curving up toward the top of the stalk. It's subtle. Almost invisible. But it's everything. That tiny mark is the difference between pocket change and a fortune. Most people have no idea. These coins are still out there. They've been found in circulation, in bankrolls, in dusty coin jars that sat untouched for years. One man discovered his by accident, while buying gas. Another found one hiding in a drawer full of loose change. Each discovery shocked the collector world, each story fueling the frenzy, but what happened next stunned even the experts. Because as more were discovered, values didn't drop. They climbed. And the reason is simple: demand. Every collector wanted one. Every dealer wanted one. And only a handful exist in pristine, uncirculated condition. Some say no more than a few thousand were ever released. Others believe the number is even smaller. And every time one surfaces at auction, bidding wars erupt, driving the price to unimaginable heights. Imagine that moment. You're standing at an auction, heart pounding, as the bids fly higher and higher. 10,000. 50,000. 100,000. And still the hands keep rising. Until finally, one collector claims victory at nearly $1.1 million. The room goes silent. The world watches. And history is made. Now here's the part that should make your heart race. These coins aren't locked away in museums. They aren't all sitting in private collections. Some are still out there, waiting to be found. In change. In rolls from the bank. In a jar on your kitchen counter. That's why every serious collector, every dreamer, every person who believes in the impossible is searching. Because the next $1 million Wisconsin quarter could be in their hands. But let me warn you, not every extra leaf coin is real. Counterfeits have surfaced. Clever fakes designed to trick the hopeful and the unwary. That's why you must know what to look for. The genuine coins have clear, consistent details. The leaf is raised, sharp, perfectly in line with the corn husk. Anything sloppy, shallow, or scratched in by hand is a fraud, the mint mark. Every authentic extra leaf Wisconsin quarter was struck at the Denver Mint. That means the coin will bear a small D just below the date, 2004. If your coin doesn't have that D mint mark, it's not the $1 million variety. So the question is, have you checked your quarters? Have you looked closely at that humble piece of change rattling in your pocket? Because history has proven one coin, one discovery, can change your life forever. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were stunned. And ordinary people became legends overnight. All because of a mistake. A hidden detail. A secret leaf on a simple Wisconsin quarter. This is not just about money. It's about the thrill of discovery. The chase. The possibility that treasure is hiding in plain sight. It's about knowing that something as small as a quarter, as ordinary as pocket change, could hold the power to rewrite your story. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't ignore those coins. Look closely. Examine the details. Because the 2004 D Wisconsin Extra Leaf Quarter isn't just worth $1.1 million. It's worth hope. It's worth possibility. It's worth the chance of a lifetime. And remember this, that exact coin could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million.